The instruction to clear your mind is the primary reason your meditation practice failed. It sets up an unwinnable war against your own brain. The real goal is a deliberate, targeted shift in your state of consciousness. Once you understand the mechanism, you gain the ability to access it on command. And chances are, the struggle you felt was a direct result of a flawed map, pointing you toward a destination that was never the point. The first time you sit down, close your eyes, and try to meditate, something predictable happens. You are immediately ambushed. Your brain's public address system, usually a low hum in the background, suddenly cranks to full volume. It presents you with a highlight reel of every awkward thing you did in high school. You get an urgent reminder to buy avocados. An argument you had last week replays itself, only this time you have the perfect comeback. You try to push the thoughts away. You wrestle with them. You focus harder on the blackness behind your eyelids, as if that will somehow help. 10 minutes later, the timer goes off. You feel more tense than when you started. You feel like a failure. Your mind is just too busy, you conclude. Meditation isn't for you. This experience is universal. It's the product of a fundamental misunderstanding. Your brain is a thought-generating organ. That's its job. Asking your brain to stop thinking is like asking your heart to stop beating. It can't. The very act of trying to force silence creates more mental noise. You are pitting one part of your brain, the part that wants quiet, against the very nature of the entire machine. This internal conflict generates stress and frustration. It is the very tension you are hoping to dissolve. But what if the goal was never to silence the thoughts at all, but to change the channel they were playing on? Your brain operates in different gears, different frequencies, known as brainwave states. When you're awake, alert, and solving problems, or worrying about them, you're in a beta state. Think of it as having 20 tabs open in your browser. It's fast, active, and consumes a lot of energy. Below that is alpha. This is a state of relaxed awareness. You're alert, but calm. It's the feeling of being engrossed in a good book, or staring into a campfire. Below that is theta, a state of deep relaxation and high creativity, often associated with daydreaming or the moments just before sleep. Most of us live our lives in a state of high beta. We are anxious, overthinking, and constantly planning the next move. When you sit down and try to clear your mind, you are using the tools of beta to solve the problem of beta. You are evaluating your performance. You are analyzing your failure. You are problem-solving your own thoughts. This keeps you locked in the very frequency you need to shift out of. The actual job of meditation is to gently guide your brain down this ladder, away from the frantic energy of beta, into the calm focus of alpha, and eventually into the restorative quiet of theta. The thoughts might still be there, but in alpha and theta, they lose their frantic, sticky quality. They just drift by. So how do you actually learn to shift gears? The key is a focal point, an object of attention. The most common one is the breath. But how you use it determines everything. Most beginners are told to focus on the breath. They interpret this as a command, a task they can succeed or fail at. They concentrate intensely for a few seconds. Their mind wanders, and then the self-judgment kicks in. I lost it again. I can't even do this simple thing. Each time this happens, they are reinforcing a story of failure and strengthening the beta state. The breath feels less like a refuge and more like a final exam they keep failing. The instruction is incomplete. The goal is the gentle, non-judgmental returning to the breath. The moment you notice your mind has wandered is a moment of success. That's the moment of awareness. The act of softly guiding your attention back to the breath without anger or disappointment is the exercise. Each return is a single rep. That gentle return is the very action that weakens the grip of the beta mind. It teaches your brain, through practice, that it's okay to let go. That thoughts are temporary, that you have a place to return to. The point was never to stay on the breath perfectly. The point was to build the muscle of returning over and over again. Think about the last time you tried. Did you feel like you were succeeding or failing? That feeling is your feedback. It tells you which gear your brain is in. Even with this reframe, there's a deeper layer most instructions miss entirely. It's the critical distinction between concentration and awareness. These are the two wings that allow the practice to take flight. Concentration is the ability to place your attention on a single point, like the breath, to the exclusion of other distractions. It's like narrowing a flashlight beam to a tight, bright spot. This is what builds mental muscle and helps you shift from beta into alpha. It stabilizes the mind. Awareness, on the other hand, is what you do once the mind is a little more stable. You widen the beam of the flashlight. You allow yourself to notice thoughts, sounds, and bodily sensations as they arise and pass away, without getting pulled into their stories. You see them as objects. Many popular apps and guided meditations confuse beginners by mixing these instructions. They'll say, focus on your breath, and then 30 seconds later, now just notice whatever thoughts arise. For a mind still stuck in beta, this is a contradictory and impossible command. It's like being told to hold a flashlight beam steady on a single point and also illuminate the whole room at the same time. You end up doing neither effectively. You just feel scattered and confused. This confusion is a feature of the product, not a bug in your brain. Some traditions do speak of a state of pure emptiness, a complete cessation of thought, and that may be a genuine, reachable state. For a mind steeped in 21st century distraction, however, aiming for it directly is a recipe for frustration. It's a distant peak. The first step is learning to walk on level ground. When you practice correctly, focusing first on concentration, then gently opening to awareness, something remarkable begins to happen. This process changes the physical structure of your brain. Neuroscientists using MRI scans have observed that consistent meditation practice thickens the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for emotional regulation and executive function. It also measurably shrinks the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, which governs the fear and stress response. You are physically rewiring your brain's default settings, making it less reactive and more resilient. The brain that once jumped at every notification, every worry, every imagined threat, begins to calm down. This is the real payoff. This is where the practice moves beyond just a relaxation technique and becomes a profound tool for freedom. The consistent act of observing your thoughts without getting entangled in them cultivates a new perspective. You begin to experience a separation. You move from being the raft tossed around in the rapids of your thought stream to being the person sitting calmly on the riverbank, watching the water flow by. The thoughts are still there. The river is still flowing, but you are no longer identified with it. You are the observer, the awareness that is aware of the thoughts. They lose their power because you see them for what they are, temporary, impersonal mental events. Clouds passing through the sky of your mind, this reveals the ultimate purpose of the practice. The goal was never an empty mind. The goal was to develop agency over your own consciousness. To realize that your default, anxious, chattering mental state is a habit, it is one channel on the radio, and it has been playing so long you forgot you could change the station. Meditation is the practice of learning how to turn the dial. It teaches you that you can intentionally access states of calm focus, of creative insight, of quiet presence. You stop trying to win an unwinnable fight against your own mind. That is a battle fueled by the very tension you wish to escape. Instead, you learn to change the environment in which the mind operates. You shift the state. The thoughts quiet down on their own when they no longer have a frantic, agitated host. And this ability to consciously shift your state doesn't just apply to your thoughts. It's the same mechanism that governs flow states and deep creative work, which are less about focus and more about surrender.